One of my first jobs out of college, I worked in downtown Cincinnati, and I was an investigative social worker. And as I was pulling into a parking garage next to my place of employment, I was victimized by what would be considered a low-level crime or a low-level misdemeanor. And I remember thinking, should I call the police on this? And ultimately I made the decision that I called the police that day. And I remember waiting outside my place of employment, and this motorcycle cop pulled up, and he got off his motorcycle, and President Birch, he was probably 6'6", maybe 6'7". And you know, he had the cool glasses and the Harley-Davidson motorcycle boots, and he gets off his motorcycle and he comes right at me and he said, "Are you okay?" And then he proceeded systematically, as he's taken this report, to tell me what was going to happen in the next 24 hours, in the next week, in the next 30 days with this case. And he explained in great detail my rights as a victim, but also balance what was going to happen if the suspect had been apprehended. And in this case, he was. So he explained the criminal justice system and what I was getting ready to go through. And the whole conversation took about 10 minutes. And as he was leaving, he gave me a copy of the report, because if you remember back then, there were these tri-folded reports that you could give a copy right in the field. And he said, if you have any questions about what has happened today or what is about to happen in the next 30 days as your case proceeds through the criminal justice system, call me and I'll explain that. And he got back on his motorcycle. That interaction had such a profound impact on me. And when I think about the Constitution and what that officer did, it was fundamentally, in my perception, it was fair, it was impartial. This man was balancing the entire criminal justice system and the Constitution in a very short amount of time. But the profound impact on me is because of that interaction, I felt totally different about policing. So much so that shortly after that, I decided to become a Cincinnati police officer. And that is what I think about when I think about constitutional policing. And I think that when you're discussing constitutional policing, police agencies must emphasize those principles in everything they do. And they have to include those same principles of fairness, impartiality, due process, not only in trainings, but in policies, in their practices, and in all of their strategies. And I think you have to teach these principles as a police leader, not only to police, but to the community. And a newfound audience that I found are the families of officers as well. These concepts are so important. And so that's how I think about constitutional policing.